Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today. Now, we're at the end of summer. This is actually September 1st as I record this, which is crazy. This year has just flown by, you know. This is a movie that I wanted to talk about last year, and I wasn't making videos for this channel in the summer of last year, but I reviewed it on another channel that I had, and I'm glad I got to come around this year after watching so many duds back to back and just turning movies off that sucked, horror or otherwise, as I go through my backlog, which is my main goal of 2024. And I'm like a little over halfway through, I would say. I'm not going to finish up this year because I have so many TV shows, and that's like months of time to put into that. Plus Christmas and Halloween are coming up. I have a lot of time that I put on those movies I watch every year. Anyway, this is going to be a movie, as I get to talking about it, that I think it deserves love, it deserves respect, and frankly, this is a hidden horrors movie review, but I'm not going to label it that because most people, they love the hidden horrors reviews that come to this channel, but this is one apparently like everybody in the slasher community has heard of but me, until last year when a friend of mine recommended it to me. But this is going to be one of those ones, before I even get into my friend's channel and the movie itself, this is going to be one of those movies that I watch every summer from now on. Like Wild Hogs, like The Lost Boys, like Jaws. I will watch this with so much love and infatuation because this is one of the biggest hidden gems that I've ever seen in my life. I may go ahead and list this as a hidden horror review because I think it deserves love for people who like that playlist on my channel. Anyway, this little 1981 classic coming out the same year as Friday the 13th Part 2, and frankly, in my opinion, in a lot of ways knocking it out of the park. It's not a perfect movie, but it's pretty freaking great, man. This little film is called The Burning. Now, I have so much love for this. My friend Horror FFA, which stands for Free For All, on his YouTube channel, please go check him out. He recommended this to me for a long time. And I'm so glad last year I watched it because I picked up this awesome Blu-ray just dirt cheap at Christmas time as of 2023, January 2024, somewhere in there. This is such a classic, dude. I cannot believe this was never on the movie rental shelves when I was growing up. I don't remember ever seeing the original cover or something like this, obviously, for the Blu-ray release. And I wish it was, because this is one of those ones I would have watched over and over again. Like Halloween, like Friday the 13th movies, it has a lot more in common with something like, if this piques your interest, Friday the 13th Part 5, or maybe Part 6, you know? There's a lot of humor in here, but it's got a lot of like Sleepaway Camp kind of in its veins too, before Sleepaway Camp even came out. It's a summer camp slasher. It is not like a whodunit type of movie, you know, like the first Friday the 13th. Coming out a year after Friday the 13th and coming out like 3 years after Halloween, there was a lot to happen in this movie to make it stand out. And frankly, I think it does. I think it's just sad the audiences were not there because of how early this came out. The Burning just kicks so much ass in every way possible. I guess I'll start off with, I've already talked about it a little bit. It is a summertime camp slasher, and in the prologue of the film, we kind of start off with a group of teens going to a camp, which, if you're a teenager, why are you going to a camp? That doesn't happen. Not in the 80s either. I guess it would have technically been in the 70s when this took place, but this event. But this group of younger men, teenagers who look like young adults, probably 25 years old, they pull a prank on this kind of rude, mean campgrounds guy, who's kind of like a maintenance janitor type of dude on that campground. I guess he cuts the grass and that kind of thing. They never really give any hints as to why he's mean or rude. I guess he was just, you know, cussing out kids. I don't know. But they pull a prank on him. They put like an actual skull from a dead human that's like rotted up and everything into his shed where he sleeps at. He doesn't have a traditional cabin like a lot of the campers do. And he has a candle in there. And when he gets startled, when he sees that thing, he knocks the candle over, it catches his bed, and therefore the shed that he lives in on fire. And it disfigures him horrifically. His whole body gets caught on fire. And about 5 years later, after his hospital treatments and doctors throwing up over and over again every time they saw him, which you don't really get to see him until the end of the film, and I'm going to tell you, he is horrific. One of the greatest makeup looks ever for a slasher villain. By the way, his name is Cropsy. I forgot to tell you that. Based on the urban legend, this is kind of vaguely based on that urban legend a little bit. If you don't know anything about Cropsy, there is a documentary about that old legend, myth, whatever you want to call it. Super creepy. I like the influence taking that name and putting it on this slasher villain. But anyway, after his many years of hospital treatments and skin grafts and all of that, he breaks out of the hospital after he kills some people, and he, 5 years after that event happened, goes back to the camp, and now some of these kids have grown up and they're working at the camp. Two of them being Holly Hunter, of all people, who looks great in here. And number two, Jason Alexander from Seinfeld, which I've never seen Seinfeld. My friend Parker looms this over my head all of the time. Parker, I will see it eventually. I love you, man, but I'll see it eventually. I've always heard Seinfeld's good, but Jason Alexander I've never seen in anything else as far as I can remember, and he's probably my favorite character in here. I think his name was something like Dave or David or something. When he's here, he brings such great humor, his little under-the-breath jokes and whatever. I just love the guy. He's really good here. I'm hoping that's a prophecy of what he'll be like when I eventually watch Seinfeld and give in, which will probably not be this year, but eventually, God willing. But the other actors and actresses, I think, do a pretty good job, even down to the younger campers at this camp. This is not like Friday where you're just having counselors get killed by Cropsy in this case, or Friday the 13th in that case. This is a situation where you have counselors, kids, all kinds of shit, and things begin to mysteriously happen to them in these woods that they're camping in. Like the canoes getting loose. They don't know how, but they do. They have to find a way to build a raft and go look for the canoes. That's not a big spoiler. But some of the things that happen in here to those people are horrific. And I said again earlier in the review, this has to be one of the bloodiest movies, one of the goriest movies I have ever seen in my life. Some of the best practical effects I have ever seen in a movie are in this film. If you love practical effects and you love gory movies and horror, dude, look no further. This is like the end-all be-all of what you could want from a slasher. It rivals something modern day like Terrifier 1 and 2. It is shockingly great how good it is. The canoe scene I mentioned, there is a massive amount of kills tied to that event that I love that jump scare. I love that scene. Oh my God, it looks so good. And let me tell you this too, before I move along too far. This is a beautifully shot movie, and on this Blu-ray, if you can get it on Blu-ray, get it on Blu-ray, because it looks magnificent. I'm one of these people, I have all of these arguments with my friends all the time, like my boy Parker and my other friend Anthony, about how I think 4K is fucking useless unless it's something old, like Halloween or Friday the 13th that you love and is competently shot, like Halloween and not so much like Friday the 13th. No disrespect, I love it, it's just true. This is a competently shot film with a good budget behind it at that time, and this looks exceptional on this Blu-ray. I'm telling you, you gotta watch it on Blu-ray, man. If you're a hardcore fan, go ahead and upgrade. I'm begging you. If you can find it for like 10 bucks, 12 bucks, even up to 20 bucks, buy it, dude. So worth the money. But Cropsy is horrific looking. He usually uses these big hedge trimmers, right? Like the old ones, not the electric ones they have now. And that is a horrific slasher villain weapon that I love. Him being named Cropsy after the old urban legend, I think that just brings it all together in a nice bow on a shoe for me. I love it, man. I think it's such a good time to watch. The pacing is perfect. It's like an hour and a half to the T on the pacing. I will say this, though, and I think I briefly mentioned this either here in this recording or in the previous recording I attempted to put out. The ending of the film, and it gets a little over the top for me and what I think this movie should have stuck to in subtlety. It gets a little over the top in the ending, to the point where the new weapon that Cropsy is using is way too much for me. Not a fan of that. I understand why it's there. It's supposed to be ironic. I don't like it. I don't like that ending weapon all that much, but I do think there's not a whole lot of emotional investment in the film aside from the fun, this is crazy type of movie. That sense of emotion, but I think the ending lacks enough satisfaction because of how over the top it goes in that respect. But I wish we had gotten sequels. I wish we had gotten so much more, and we don't. We just don't have any of that. This is a standalone slasher that you will never forget if you take out the time to watch it. It's a hell of a movie, man. You'll never forget it. Knowing this film, it's probably on like YouTube or something to watch in case you want to check it out. I've never seen it pop up on like Tubi or anything as far as I can remember free to watch. I think that's where I watched it for the first time, matter of fact, or rented it from Prime or something. But this was wonderful. And you know what makes it even better? The musical score, dude. My God. It is up there with Phantasm's theme song for me. That's better to me than Halloween's theme song. This is up there with Phantasm for me. That should tell you how amazing the score is for this. Such an incredibly creepy, like that song from the end of Friday the 13th Part 1. It's like that lake song where Alice is sitting out on the lake. It's like that song, but like even more expansive, and it fits this movie so well in a way that I don't even know how to explain it to you. The Burning is a magnificent masterpiece of its time. Even though it's not perfect, it is a really great flick that I recommend highly. If you haven't seen it and you're a huge slasher buff or you're a huge gore buff, you've got to see this. Who cares that Harvey Weinstein's name was on this piece of shit? Or his piece of shit name was on this masterpiece, almost. This was a great flick. It's worth your time. It's worth checking out. I think you'll love it if you give it a shot. If you like the things I've talked about so far. But be ready to have a new classic here, because again, this is going to be one of those ones that I'm going to rewatch every single year because it's so freaking great. My boy Horror FFA, or his other channel as he's called, Goosebumps Completionist, dude, again, I know it's been a year since I reviewed it previously, and you saw that review, I believe. I think you commented on it. I could be wrong. But anyway, thank you for this recommendation last year. One of the greatest new gems in my collection. And like I said, this is basically a hidden horror where you guys should go through my playlist and check out other hidden horrors I have listed. This is one of the best ones you'll ever find. If I had to rate The Burning on a 5-star basis, I wanted to give it a perfect score. I don't think reasonably I can do that, but I would give it an exceptionally high 4 out of 5 stars for me and my rating on it, because this is freaking fantastic. And again, get that Blu-ray, dude. It looks so good. Anyway, that is the review for The Burning. Check it out. Hope you guys had a good one. Let me know what your thoughts are on the movie, if you took my advice and watched it, or if you've seen it before and you love it already. I'd love to hear everything you guys have to say down in the comments section down below. Thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all. Catch you later, and goodbye.